If you're living with somebody that you don't really want to be living with anymore, but there's a lot that you do really still care about that person, I want to suggest that you just move out and you don't break up. Welcome to my Broken to Brave podcast. I'm Donna Barnes. If you don't like the situation that you're in, but you like the person that you're with, I highly suggest you live separately and visit each other. Do sleepovers, or you could take weekends together, or you take weekend trips. You can do everything that you do as a couple, just living in separate houses. It actually can foster a deeper, loving relationship. I know living with somebody is fabulous, and it's great to have someone to snuggle up in bed with every night, but you could even do that too if you really wanted to, right? You could have your own separate, like people call the man cave, right? Men should have their man cave, but as a woman, I want my woman cage too. Like, I really like my alone time. If I can have that within a house, then okay, fine. But isn't it cool if you both have your own place and then you invite each other over? Just something to think about, because unfortunately, I think sometimes couples break up not so much because they didn't like the relationship, but because they didn't like the situation. So if that's you, I'm talking to you. Personally, in my own life, I'd been living with a guy. We were starting to fight and it wasn't going well. So I moved out and I got my own apartment. But then we started dating again and the relationship was even better than it had been because we both had our own spaces. And years ago, I did a talk show called Naked New York that was a big hit in New York, actually. It was in the early 2000s. And we had a woman on the show that had written a book about how her and her husband lived in different houses, but on the same property. They had bought property that had a guest house and a big house. And she lived in the big house and her husband lived in the guest house. And they'd go out to dinner and they'd do things together and they'd come home and they'd sleep over at each other's house here and there, which made it a little bit more exciting. But when they wanted a good night's sleep by themselves, they slept in their own house. If they just had stuff that they wanted to do without being interrupted, they slept in their own house. So it was really kind of living together but apart, which I think is a great idea if you still love the person that you're with. You just don't like living with them? Move out, but don't break up. I think it's really the perfect solution because, look, I think we all need to have our alone time. I certainly know that I need my alone time. And I mean, even like when I'm making my podcast, right? I really appreciate that I'm here completely by myself. Having the space and ability and the comfort level of knowing that it's your own space, I think is really appealing to a lot of people. Right? I mean, I'm sure you know this. If you live with somebody and there's something like making a podcast that you want to do, but you know that someone's going to be home at a certain time, and so you've got to hurry up and get it done. I know personally, I don't like to have a deadline when I'm shooting because I might get inspired and have a better idea and want to shoot more, right? Like, so to not have someone walk in is really advantageous. And that's the whole idea of don't break up, just move out, because then you can have your own spaces. And look, not everybody has the money to have a big property with 2 houses on it, right? But, you know, even just 2 apartments is depending on where you live and what's going on, or maybe somebody keeps the house and somebody else gets the apartment, or then maybe you switch, because I'll tell you too, couples that have money, when they get divorced, it's really fabulous if they have the money to let the kids stay in the same place all the time. I've seen this a lot in Manhattan, where both the mom and the dad get other places, but the family home they keep for the kids. And then when it's the mom's turn, she packs a bag and comes to the house. And then she goes back to her place. And then when it's the dad's turn, he packs a bag and he comes to the house, which is the best thing for the kids, because then the kids aren't constantly packing bags and traveling and needing to move all their stuff. They stay in the same place. I mean, that's fabulous if you can afford to do that, if you're going through a divorce. But if you don't have kids and you really are just unhappy living together, then just get your own place, move out. And if you can have an honest conversation about it and really affirm how important your partner is to them and how much you really do love them if you do, and all the great things about the relationship, but that you think it would be better if you lived apart, I think there's nothing wrong with that. Leave me your comments. I'd love to know what you think about that idea. I'm available for coaching if you want to talk about that idea and get more detailed with your own personal situation, just something to think about. I think, people unfortunately throw away sometimes what could be a really good relationship because they just don't like living with them anymore. But if you have your own space, then you can still see each other and just have your own personal homes to retreat to when you want to. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.